Well, good evening, friends. Father Frank Pafone here, National Director of Priests for Life. Welcome to our program. We're coming to you on many of our different channels, including those of Evangelist Alveda King. And I know how many of you love and follow her. She's been working with us here at Priests for Life for 15 years now, and we've known her for over 20. And she is sending her greetings and love and prayers tonight. We remember all your prayer intentions every day, and feel free to leave them on the comments as we go through our time together tonight. And along with your questions and comments, we always welcome what you have to say. And many of you are saying, well, give us an update on how the president is doing. And in fact, I do have some updates. In fact, I was on a phone call just a couple of hours ago with a number of people who spoke to him just shortly before that. And I'm even going to play you a video that the president released on his Twitter account just a very short time ago. So we're going to hear directly from him on how he's doing. And we are going to pray some more for him and the First Lady, as I know you are already doing. But first, before all of that, let's go to my book, Pro-Life Reflections for Every Day, and see what the scripture and reflection and prayer are for today. Matthew 5:14 says, "You are the light of the world. A city built on a mountain cannot be hidden." Reflection. In elections, each of us has but one vote. Yet we can all influence thousands of votes. And we should start with the people who need the least amount of urging. Those who already agree with us on the key issues of the day and who would probably support the candidates that we support. Let's reach for the low-hanging fruit and thereby get more results for the time and energy we expend. Let us pray. Lord, let me not miss the opportunities you give me to mobilize your people to do good. Amen. So, friends, how's the president doing? Well, as we know, yesterday he went to the Walter Reed Medical Center. Now, this is where presidents go for their checkups. They have a presidential suite there. And you know, the idea that there are, that he is in the hospital conjures up, it's people lying in a hospital bed, right? He's not lying in a hospital bed. He has an office there. There's a presidential suite. There's a presidential office there. And you know what he's been doing today besides receiving the necessary medications and tests from his doctors? He's been governing the country. He's been doing his work. He's been at his desk. He's been on the phone. Like I said, I talked to a number of people just a little while ago who were on the phone with him and today, and they said, if we didn't know he was at Walter Reed and had COVID-19, we wouldn't have been able to tell from the way he was asking us questions and doing his work and focusing on the issues of the country and cheerful and upbeat and positive and energetic. And this is what he's been doing. He has had, fortunately, just mild symptoms. Of course, it's good that he's there because he's got all the treatment and all the care of the doctors right there at his fingertips. And at the same time, he's got an environment there and an office and his key aides, again, right at his fingertips to be able to continue doing the work of the country. This is the kind of person he is. Positive thinking, an aggressive fighter for what is right and what is good for himself and for us, for the country, and indeed somebody who is winning, as he always tells us. The next few days, of course, are very important. This is an unpredictable disease, but as his doctor said in a briefing earlier today, the symptoms continue to be mild. In fact, he no longer has the low-grade fever that he had when these symptoms began. But let's listen to the president himself. He just put out this video just a very short while ago on his Twitter account. We have it here, and let's listen to the president right there from his office at Walter Reed Medical Center.
I want to begin by thanking all of the incredible medical professionals, the doctors, the nurses, everybody at Walter Reed Medical Center. I think it's the finest in the world, for the incredible job they've been doing. I came here, wasn't feeling so well. I feel much better now. We're working hard to get me all the way back. I have to be back because we still have to make America great again. We've done an awfully good job of that. but we still have steps to go, and we have to finish that job. And I'll be back. I think I'll be back soon. And I look forward to finishing up the campaign the way it was started and the way we've been doing and the kind of numbers that we've been doing. We've been so proud of it. But this was something that happened, and it's happened to millions of people all over the world, and I'm fighting for them. Not just in the U.S., I'm fighting for them all over the world. We're going to beat this coronavirus, or whatever you want to call it, and we're going to beat it soundly. So many things have happened. If you look at the therapeutics, which I'm taking right now, some of them, and others are coming out soon that are looking like, frankly, they're miracles. If you want to know the truth, they're miracles. People criticize me when I say that, but we have things happening that look like they're miracles coming down from God. So I just want to tell you that I'm starting to feel good. You don't know over the next period of a few days. I guess that's the real test. So we'll be seeing what happens over those next couple of days. I just want to be so thankful for all of the support I've seen, whether it's on television or reading about it. I most of all appreciate what's been said by the American people, by almost a bipartisan consensus of American people. It's a beautiful thing to see, and I very much appreciate it, and I won't forget it. I promise you that. I also want to thank the leaders of the world for their condolences, and they know what we're going through. They know what, as your leader, what I have to go through. But I had no choice because I just didn't want to stay in the White House. I was given that alternative. Stay in the White House, lock yourself in, don't ever leave, don't even go to the Oval Office. Just stay upstairs and enjoy it. Don't see people, don't talk to people, and just be done with it. And I can't do that. I had to be out front, and this is America. This is the United States. This is the greatest country in the world. This is the most powerful country in the world. I can't be locked up in a room upstairs and totally safe and just say, hey, whatever happens, happens. I can't do that. We have to confront problems. As a leader, you have to confront problems. There's never been a great leader that would have done that. So that's where it is. I'm doing well. I want to thank everybody. Our First Lady is doing very well. Melania asked me to say something as to the respect that she has for our country, the love that she has for our country. And we're both doing well. Melania is really handling it very nicely. As you've probably read, she's slightly younger than me, just a little tiny bit. And therefore, just we know the disease, we know the situation with age versus younger people, and Melania is handling it statistically like it's supposed to be handled, and that makes me very happy, and it makes the country very happy. But I'm also doing well, and I think we're going to have a very good result. Again, over the next few days, we're going to probably know for sure. So I just want to thank everybody out there, everybody all over the world, specifically the United States. The outpouring of love has been incredible. I will never forget. Thank you very much.
So that was a video that the president just posted. That was just from a little while ago today. And as I say, as I was speaking to some of the people from the campaign and some of the people in his family earlier this afternoon as well, they were saying, listen, he sounds great, sounds upbeat, and he's a positive thinker, and he's a man of faith. He's a follower of Jesus Christ, and he's a believer in his word. And you know what he was asked? I've told you this a number of times before, but it bears repeating. Shortly after he became president, someone asked him, what do you want to be most remembered for? And he said, I want to be remembered as the president who prayed more than any other president. And let's be the people who pray more for this president than we have for any other. Because you see his spirit. You see what he said about people who criticize, oh, but you were doing this, and you were having these rallies there, and you were going here, and you were meeting with these people there. Yeah, that's right. That's how you lead a country. That's how you fight against something like this. That's what you do. You don't stay locked upstairs in the residence, and you don't stay locked downstairs in your basement, hiding from people, not talking to people, cowering in the corner, afraid of everything. You don't lead by being afraid. You don't govern by being absent. You know what our country is suffering from in so many different ways, brothers and sisters? Absent fathers. Isn't this a problem that leads to so many social problems? Absent fathers. It leads to all kinds of issues. Well, we can think of that on the level of the family. We also have to think of that on the level of the government. We can't have an absent father, and we don't have an absent father. If you think of the president, many of the roles that he has and responsibilities he exercises in regard to the American people are like the responsibilities of a father in a family. It's not a perfect analogy, but there's a lot of similarities, right? And a father needs to be present. Whether there's danger or not, he needs to be present. And he needs to lead, and he needs to inspire confidence. This is a leader who inspires confidence. And he needs to be able to set a vision. This is a leader who sets a vision. He needs to be able to unify the family. Well, when he talks about the principles on which America was founded, one nation under God, principles of life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, the opportunities for prosperity, and letting the American people succeed, and I want to talk in a little while about some of the details of that progress and that success, but letting the American people succeed by, for example, keeping their jobs here at home rather than in some other country, getting out of trade agreements that treat our country unfairly and put us at a disadvantage, with jobs and companies and factories fleeing our homeland as a result. When you have somebody who's taking away the government regulations that literally suffocate people who are trying to start businesses and hire employees and make their way to a prosperity in this country, taking away those regulations so that they can do that, so that they can breathe and grow and prosper. When you have somebody under whose presidency we've had a 17-year record drop in poverty and millions of people being raised up out of poverty and millions of jobs being added, and median household income going up more than under the last two presidencies. And when you have all this, you have success. And success unifies people. People can rally around success. You know what they can rally around too? Not only the principles on which America was built, but the symbols that reflect those principles, like the flag, like the Pledge of Allegiance, with the words under God actually in it. And like the national anthem, that you stand for, not kneel. The president has been clear about all these things and has told us, and you saw recently this 1776 project that he has instituted to teach our children the true history of our country. Not the lie, and the Democrats are behind this, that, our country was started in 1619, with the trading of slaves and whatnot. No, this country was founded on precisely the principles that destroy slavery, that we're all created equal and endowed by the Creator with the right to life, and that governments are instituted to secure these rights, not to diminish them, not to suppress them, not to deny them, and not to give them either, but to secure them because they're given only by God. Here's a president that wants our children to learn that our country began in 1776 with the articulation of these principles. People come to this country more than to any other land. We're the most generous country in the world as far as immigrants. And why do they want to come here? They want to come here because this is not a country based on geography or ethnicity. It's based on principles. It's based on the great idea of liberty, the great principle of God-given rights. And people come here, and it's very different than when they come from other countries. They may be welcomed into other countries, but here they get assimilated. They become Americans. It's not the same thing. We have the greatest respect for other countries, but you go into another country, you go into France, for example, you don't become French in the way that you become American. You don't become Italian in the way that you become American when you come here. This is a country based on principles that we can all adhere to in our very being, in our very soul, and we flourish and we flourish. And this is a president who unites us around all of that. The principles of the country, the symbols of the country, the history of the country, because you can't have a united country if you don't know who you are. And you don't know who you are unless you know your history and you know the true history. This is why it makes me laugh. I've talked about this before at greater length. It makes me laugh when people try to say, oh, well, this is a divisive president. The only thing that's divided is in your own head if you say that. You don't have any understanding of what's going on here. This is a man that's unifying our country. And brothers and sisters, he's doing it in very concrete, measurable ways. And we rejoice in that. So you saw his attitude there. You saw him for just a couple of hours ago. I mean, he's there. He's fighting against this this virus. But again, my goodness. Listen, you probably saw things in the mainstream media, and probably most of you don't waste time even looking at the mainstream media. They're the enemy of the people, as the president said. This is no exaggeration. How good and much better shape our country would be in if the media were just honest. What a better country we would have. How much more progress we would be making if we just had a media that was honest. And we're not even asking them to take our position on issues or ideologies or beliefs. Just be honest. Just do the job that people presume you're committed to doing, which is bringing us some ideas about what's going on. We don't care about it. Don't impose your ideas on us. And the interesting thing is they're always accusing us of doing that. But it's them. And not only are they imposing their ideas on us, the fake news media, they're imposing lies on us. Imposing lies. And this is why, as the president says, they've become the enemy of the people. They don't have to be that way, but they've chosen to be that way. And it is getting worse and worse and worse. But now we have someone at the highest levels of our government calling them out on it. What other president do you remember calling out the media in the way that he does? Doing hand-to-hand combat with the media the way he does? There's a certain presidential candidate whose last name begins with a B, I don't know who it would be, who's been hiding from the media for months. He's claiming that he wants to lead this country. I don't even think he wants it. If you want to be the president of the United States, you know what you do? You campaign like crazy. You go to the places where the voters are that you want to vote for you. You go to them. You gather them. You show that you can gather them. A leader has to be able to gather the people he wants to lead. You go and you gather them. And you talk to them. And you listen to them, and you love them, and you let them love you. We have reached something extraordinary in American politics. Have you ever seen a presidential campaign? If you have, go back and find the footage. We've got a lot of footage out there of presidential campaigns of the past. Rallies and speeches and campaign events. Go look through the footage and find me a place where the people gathered to listen to the candidate for presidency break out into a chant, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but numerous times, regularly now, at every rally. We love you. We love you. We love you. What is this? What is this? What kind of campaign slogan is that? We know 4 more years, right? I mean, that's been a part of our American presidential political history for a long time. 4 more years, 4 more years. It's great. We love you? He didn't tell them to say that. This is what is arising from an electorate that understands one simple thing. He listens to us. He knows what we're thinking, feeling, experiencing, wanting, what we're expecting from America, what we're hoping from our country, what we believe in, what unites us. He understands it. And he speaks it. He doesn't try to use telepathy. Some presidents in the past, even the ones that, agree with us on the major issues and fight for our values, it was like when they get up and talk, they're expecting you to use, telepathy or to go through, 3 syllogisms in your head to come to the conclusion that probably they believe what you believe and they're thinking what you're thinking and they're fighting for you. Probably they are, based on what they said, and, you stop and you think about it for a while and you talk to 3 or 4 people. No, it's not like that with President Trump. He connects directly to the people that he's speaking to, directly. And out of his mouth come the words that come out of our mouths when we're sitting there watching TV, or yelling at the TV or throwing something at the TV. And it's like here he is standing up as a presidential candidate and as a president saying exactly the same things. And people say, oh, well, sometimes he's not presidential. What in the world are you talking about? Presidential is supposed to be like what exactly? Like what? Disconnected from what we believe, what we feel? Lacking in all passion? Presidential means what? Flatline? I don't get excited about anything. You get excited about anything, but you know what? That's because you're down there. You're the masses of people there. You're the unsophisticated. So you can get angry, but I can't. Is this the kind of president that we want? Oh, you people can get angry. You're the uneducated, unsophisticated masses. Oh, but I'm up here. I'm at a higher level than you. I'm the president. I'm the elite. Maybe someday, some of you will be like me. I'm, just nothing gets me angry. I don't get passionate about anything. I never call people names because, they're really not that bad. And meanwhile, we're sitting at home fuming. What are those Chinese? They're stealing our intellectual property. They're cheating us out of billions of dollars. When is somebody going to do something about it? Oh, don't get angry. No, don't. This is really not that bad. You don't see me getting angry, do you? That's not the kind of leader we need. We need a leader that feels the same frustration that we do. And if we're so angry at something that's happening that we start calling people names, well, maybe it's time that we had a leader in the highest office of the land that could speak the same language. I'm sick and tired of these people that are saying, oh, well, he's not presidential. A president that connects with the people, speaks their language, shares their heart and their spirit, and then fights their battles and wins, you know what? That's presidential. That's the kind of presidential that I want to see and that I want to vote for. I'm tired of these people. They stand up and talk. And by the way, we experience the same garbage in the church. With pastors and bishops are standing up there. Oh, they'll speak for 20 minutes. And at the end, you don't know what in the world they said. And you don't know what they believe. You don't know if they believe like you believe. Or is this person preaching the word of God? Or is he just telling us his own things out of his own imagination? Who in the world is this guy? Is he going to fight for us? Does he really believe it? People come away sometimes from the people who are ordained to preach the Word of God and fire us up with the gospel of Christ, and we sit down and we listen to them, expecting to be really fired up, and we walk away scratching our heads wondering if they even believe what we believe. How about, I never heard those things before. That sounded strange. I don't know what that was. No. Friends, that's not leadership. It's not leadership in the church, and it's not leadership in politics. When somebody gets up and talks, and you don't know what in the world they said, they're a failure. We have a president who knows who we are as a people and leads us to become more of who we are. Now that is what Make America Great Again means. It's not just a slogan. It's a doctrine. It's a teaching. It has deep roots. And what it means is that America becomes more of who she already is, sinking more deeply into the principles on which she was founded, not just a turning back of the clock. Make America Great Again is not a linear journey back into the past. No, it's a journey into the future, fully aware of a world that is very different, fully aware of the new challenges of our times, and yet applying to those challenges the same principles that our founding fathers understood. And by the way, they understood those principles because they were rooted in the Word of God. It was the Bible more than any other source that informed the thinking of our founding fathers. And they founded this nation accordingly. This is a president who takes those principles and applies them now to a very changed world but with the same determination that the founders had, the same vision, the same frontier spirit. You hear him talking about, we're going to land the first woman on the moon and we're going to be the nation to have the first astronaut who walks on the face of the planet Mars. Wasn't that the same spirit that led our forefathers to say, there's a whole country out there. Let's go west. Let's explore. Let's conquer. Or even before that, you know what? There's a big ocean out there. Let's cross it. Let's cross it. And it's the same one that says, I'm not going to be up in the residence. I'm not going to be down in the basement. I'm going out with the people. I'm going to lead the people. I'm going to bring them together. And we're going to keep fighting and fighting, and we're going to keep winning and winning. This is the kind of man we have now in the Oval Office. Now, there are some people, and we have some idiots watching us here tonight, along with our great supporters. And I sent out a tweet earlier today that responds to some of these demented people who say, we know exactly what happened with the president getting this disease. It was because of this. It was because he didn't wear a mask over here. A mask doesn't protect you from the disease. The idea of wearing a mask is that if you have the disease, things are not coming out of your mouth and landing on other people. Oh, you got the disease because you didn't wear a mask. Well, Dr. James or Dr. Mary or whatever your name is, I am so happy to hear about all your medical expertise. Please, let yourself be known to us and come and save our country, please. And it's amazing how many of these people know exactly what happened. It's incredible. I've never seen such an explosion of medical expertise in our nation as over the last 3 days. I mean, it's been just amazing. We have to capture this moment for history because people are coming forward who they can tell you how many particles flew from one person to another, exactly the velocity and distance that they flew. They even have pictures of it. They have video of the particles flowing to President Donald Trump because he put himself it was unsafe, unsafe. They know exactly how unsafe everybody was, and where they were standing and where the particles flew, how many of them there are. They counted them all, and they saw and they know exactly without the shadow of a doubt exactly how this happened. These self-styled, arrogant, prideful, stupid people. The people making stupid comments right now. Very stupid comments all over social media. You know what it is? They don't know a thing. They don't know a thing. All they're manifesting, brothers and sisters, is their own despicable attitude towards the best president in the United States and the best administration that we've ever had. So, and you recognize it. You don't even need me saying these things because you know this exactly the same thing is going on. Meanwhile, what we're focused on is what was announced by the campaign. And I was on a call with the campaign earlier today. Operation MAGA. MAGA, Make America Great Again. I talked to you about just a moment ago that this is a doctrine. Operation MAGA means this. While the president, just for a number of days, is off the campaign trail, he really isn't off the campaign trail because he's continuing. You just heard him speak to us now. But not, having these rallies. I was supposed to be with him last night here in Florida and at a rally that was scheduled, but of course wasn't able to do that. But the fact of the matter is, Operation MAGA means that the surrogates, and I'm privileged to be one of them, and the people who are spokespersons for him, and the people who, like many of you, are volunteers for this campaign and are carrying the MAGA flag, we are redoubling and tripling our efforts. I saw today that up where our office used to be, we're now here in Titusville, Florida, but our office used to be on Staten Island, New York, and there was a gathering, spontaneous gathering, thousands of people in support of the president there in New York City. And here, of course, at Walter Reed Medical Center, where the president is staying in his presidential suite and office over there, doing the work of the country, he has supporters gathered outside. And one of our staff was there with them today, with that crowd. And she told me that the president, of course, saw that there were people out there, saw it on news and on social media, and told someone on his staff, make sure all those people get some presidential chocolates. He sent them a gift of chocolates for being out there expressing their solidarity with him. And I thought that was a very nice story that happened just a little while ago today. Operation MAGA means, you know what, friends? We're going to pick up the slack. We're going to double down. We're going to do what it is that we have to do to continue to spread the MAGA message, contact voters, get people registered. Voter registration deadlines start kicking in right now, this weekend and Monday. Some states start to close off voter registration, and we are going to have to redouble our efforts. Now also early voting has started in a number of places, and brothers and sisters, we want to get those voters to the polls. That's what we have to do. This is what helps the president. This is what helps the campaign. This is what helps the country. This is what helps you and me. Contact those voters, be in touch with those voters, get them to the polls. It's great to have group activities too, by the way, getting people to go to voting. So they don't have to go just alone, but have people go in a group together with friends and get out and cast your vote. Remember, after you cast your vote, your responsibility hasn't ended there. Now we got to get as many others to do so as possible. The campaign made, I'm going to give you a statistic here. They knocked on 2.4 million doors of voters. This is volunteers for the Trump campaign, knocked on 2.4 million doors of voters. Guess when? In the whole campaign? In the last month? That was done just last week. 1 week. 2.4 million doors and 5.7 million phone calls to voters. And this is just the campaign. This is not even other groups that are doing it for the president. And there are various other groups that are doing it. We're involved with them. We're having phone calls made right from this office. Just the campaign. This dwarfs what was done in 2016. Dwarfs, they've surpassed everything that they did in the entire 2016 campaign. A long time ago, they dwarfed it. And it dwarfs even more what the Biden campaign is doing, which just up until these few days ago, you know how many doors they had knocked on? 0. I tell you, this man doesn't want to be president. Biden. He doesn't even want it. He has been conducting the most low energy, low enthusiasm, low determination, low vigor campaign that any of us has ever heard of. It's like it's non-existent. Now, after saying it wasn't safe or wasn't a good idea to go knocking on doors, now the Biden campaign is starting to panic, and they're saying, hey, maybe it is a good idea for us to start knocking on doors. I've got news for you. You can't do it now. It's too late. You can't start an effective door-knocking project this late in the game. It doesn't work. You have to have an infrastructure. The Trump campaign has been knocking on doors for this re-election for the last 18 months. An infrastructure has been developed. There are 2 million volunteers out there and counting. It requires organizers and local people and regional directors and people in the states and coordination and training. And you don't just start this up 30 days before an election. What kind of a joke is this campaign? I have never heard of anything like it, never seen anything like it. I've been helping out with presidential and other kinds of election efforts since 1993. I've never heard anything like this. This is just unprecedented. This year's election is unprecedented in so many ways that not only is it going to be in the history books, it's going to be a whole chapter in the history books. It's just the 2020 election, just by itself, an entire chapter in American history going forward. Well, speaking of history going forward, so listen, bottom line of this part of what I want to say to you is, Don't be upset by the stuff you're going to see in the mainstream media. You're going to see terrible things in reference to the president's illness and whatnot. Oh my gosh. Pay no attention. Do not be bothered by it. You saw him for yourself. There's nothing better than seeing him for yourself. And he'll continue to give us video updates right from his own mouth because that's the kind of president he is, transparency. You know, some people say, oh, I don't like that he tweets. Well, why not? You know exactly what he's thinking at any given time. You compare it to past presidents. Gee, I wonder what the president's doing today. I wonder what he's thinking today. I hope he's got this in mind. I hope he's aware of that problem. I hope he thinks like I do on this issue. I hope this. I hope he feels that. I hope he's angry at this. I hope he's happy about that. We don't have to wonder. And we don't have to rely on, I don't know, just fill in the blank, Chris Cuomo at CNN, his idea of what the president did or thinks or feels or is happy about or sad about or angry about. Chris Cuomo, why don't you go to your basement and just, shut off the lights, shut off the camera. We don't need to see you, and we don't need to hear you. The president speaks to us himself, directly, lets his mind be known. And you know what? That's healthy in America. That's healthy. It's healthy that we're able to express ourselves, and it's healthy that he's able to express himself. And when you look at who he is, you have a man here of deep compassion. I remember a story told to me recently. I grew up just outside of New York City, and we saw Donald Trump and his activities and the empathy and compassion that he has. I remember a New York City police officer telling the story recently of one of his colleagues who had trouble on the highway, on flat tire or something like that. And it just so happened that Donald Trump was, I don't know, he was there wherever the mishap occurred, and helped the guy out. And in Thanksgiving, it was the police officer who was helping out Donald Trump, and in gratitude for what he did, he ended up paying his mortgage for him. We didn't have to do that. And I don't know how many presidents or how many senators, Mr. Biden, 47 years ago you were elected, how many of your paychecks did you donate to government programs that are helping people in various ways? How many? I'm waiting to hear, aside, by the way, from waiting for your list of Supreme Court nominees, which you are hiding, because you don't want us to see the radical, the left-wing, radical, America-hating, liberty-hating, God-hating people that you would put on the Supreme Court that would not look to the United States Constitution to solve constitutional questions. Oh no, they would look to the Constitution of other countries, as some of these left-wing judges who really do need to retire, like tomorrow, do sometimes. They get their opinions from the constitutions of other countries. What in the world is that? You take an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States. You're supposed to be representing our Constitution. So Biden, where's your list? I want to see the names. See, here's the ridiculous thing. Let me just pause on this for a moment. I mentioned this also the other day. Here you've got a guy that wants to occupy the Oval Office. He wants to have the privilege, of nominating justices to the Supreme Court if there should be a vacancy. He wants to have the privilege of filling other vacancies on the courts. But I got news for him, though. If he were to get elected, guess what? President Trump isn't going to leave you any vacancies to fill. President Obama left him 142 vacancies. He got into the Oval Office. He says, okay, I'm supposed to appoint judges. Do we have any vacancies? And you figured maybe they tell him, oh, yes, sir, there's 3 or 4 vacancies that you have to fill. And they come to him and they say, it's 142 vacancies. What are you talking about? Obama left us all those vacancies? He did. Maybe you could ask Biden why. What were they doing? They were playing golf and eating strawberries instead of filling judicial nominations like is their duty? I don't know what they were doing, but they left them all these vacancies. That's good for us. I'm glad they did. But you see, here's a man. He's asking you to give him the privilege of appointing all these judges. Okay, sir, you want me to vote for you, you want me to give you the power to appoint all these judges, and you can't take the time and trouble to tell me what kind of judges those would be? Doesn't it empower me to know what kind of people I would be indirectly, okay, I'm one step removed, because I'm voting for the president, I'm not voting for the judges, I'm voting for the president. But if I know what kind of judges he would pick, that gives me a little bit more, like informed consent, right? Of what I'm going to do when I cast my vote. But here's the irony. It's one thing for him to say, well, you don't get to decide who's on the courts. But basically, that's what he's telling us by not revealing his list. You don't get to know. Oh, we don't get to know. Oh, okay. But then when President Trump does nominate someone to the court, like he just did with Amy Coney Barrett, Biden comes along and says, oh, but the American voters should decide, and that's why you should wait till after the election. Sorry, you can't have it both ways. Either you want the American people to decide by voting for the president they want and for the senators they want, because the senators constitutionally have to confirm those nominees. So either the voters are going to decide because they're going to choose the president, going to choose the senators, and well, let's wait and let the voters decide by voting first and then seeing who the nominee will be, or they don't. But if they do, why aren't you willing to do what President Trump did? He published a list. He published the list in the first campaign 4 years ago. And then recently he added more names to the list before he knew, of course, that there would be a vacancy. And he said, I'm going to choose my nominees for the Supreme Court from this list. And he did exactly what he promised. And so now, if the voters don't like the direction, if the voters don't like, the voters, once these lists come out, everybody can do their research. They're Google.com. There you go. You find out all you want to find out about these people and how they've decided in the past, what their philosophy is. Find out all you want to find out about them. And people have been able to research these people for years. Amy Coney Barrett, these Senate Democrats are such hypocrites when they say, oh, we need more time to decide about it. Her name has been on the list for all these years. Do your research. Do your homework. You knew who this woman is. You already know. In fact, she went through a Senate confirmation process already in 2017, which is why now she serves on the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals. They knew who she is. That was the hypocrisy back at the Kavanaugh hearings, too. They asked for more documents about Kavanaugh than any other previous Supreme Court nominee. And they asked him more written questions, and part of the process is written questions, that they asked him more than all the previous nominees combined. But the irony was that the people who were asking for all these extra documents and all these extra questions, because after all, we have to do our research and we have to know who this is before we vote for him, they had already decided they weren't going to vote for him. So why are they asking for all this information? You know how many written questions they sent Judge Antonin Scalia before they confirmed him as Justice Antonin Scalia? You know how many written questions they sent him, the Senate at that time? 3. 1, 2, 3. You know how many they sent to Brett Kavanaugh? 1,287. Through the roof. A ridiculous number of questions. And they had already made up their mind right from day one. They were saying oppose the nominee. They had signs in front of the Supreme Court when Justice Kennedy said he was stepping down. They had signs in front of the Supreme Court, these left-wing pro-abortion radicals that were protesting the nominee before he was even named, and they had a sign that said fill in the blank, oppose Judge blank. They didn't know who it was going to be, but they knew they were going to oppose him. Why? Because it was a judge being appointed by President Donald Trump. That's why the president, look, the Democrats have put themselves into a terrible position. Because if they hadn't made this all about anti-Trump, 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 they could have taken more reasonable positions. They could have put themselves in a position to be able to come up with creative compromises with the administration for the good of the American people. They could have, given a little here and a little there on particular policies. They supported the wall. Back under President Clinton is when the border wall started being built. They called for, they understood, they do understand the necessity, not the advisability, the necessity of having a wall on our border. And they could have gotten themselves into a position where they say, okay, well, let's compromise. Let's figure out what we have to do. The same thing for, these bills, these various bills that Congress has been passing, has been debating about how to continue to deal with the COVID crisis and rebuild the economy and so forth. And, all this delay that's going on in the Congress and this logjam is because Nancy Pelosi keeps putting in the bill things that have absolutely nothing to do with conquering the virus. Absolutely nothing at all. Funding for abortion, for example, is one of those things. So the point I'm making is this. The Democrats have put themselves into a position where they can no longer compromise and work out with the Republicans what's best for the American people because they have solidified themselves ideologically as the party of anti-Trump. So anything that the president wants to put forward, anything that the president wants to do, they automatically, knee-jerk reaction, don't want to do. Never mind how good it is for the American people. Never mind how smart it is to get out of these unfair trade deals. The other night we looked at in detail on this whiteboard about the Paris Climate Accord and how absolutely destructive that agreement would be to the American economy with precious little to no benefit whatsoever for the environment. I showed you the other night, under the Paris Climate Accord, if every country agreed to do their part the way that it's set out, we would reduce the overall temperature of the Earth by 0.2 of 1 degree Celsius by the year 2100. 2100! What are you planning to be doing in 2100? I mean, this is ridiculous. And by the way, 14 days of China being able to do whatever in the world they want to do, because you know what? The restrictions on China wouldn't be there. Oh yeah, Paris Climate Accord, as if all the countries are all going to chip in and do their fair share, right? No. China could do whatever it wants for 13 years. America, right away, billions and billions of dollars, reduction in jobs and wages and productivity. China, they're free to do whatever they want because they're classified differently in this Paris Climate Accord disaster. It has nothing to do with the environment. It has to do with putting America at a disadvantage. But what they would do by their emissions in 14 days would undo what America prevents from happening with the emissions at the great sacrifice to our own economy and jobs, factories and wages and productivity. This is absurd. Oh, but you heard Joe Biden the other night. Oh, yeah, I'll put us right back into the Paris Climate Accord. I'm with Pope Francis. We love the environment. It's crap. Because he didn't say anything about all these disadvantages to the United States of America. And oh, by the way, you got to wait till 2100 to get 0.2 of 1 degree difference in the Earth's climate, if even in fact there's any truth to that. But we hate Trump. We don't want to do what he does. It's so true what he says in his rallies. He says, when it comes to building the wall, they used to be in favor of building the wall. He says, until I came along and said we had to build the wall, then they were against it. He says, what I should have done is from the beginning of my administration, I said, we will not under any circumstances build the wall. Then they would have been breaking down the doors to fund the wall. He's absolutely right. So Democrats have put themselves in a position where they can't help you anymore. They've put themselves in that position. They can't help you. Because anything that's good for the American people, if it's coming from President Trump, they're going to oppose it. Judges, trade deals, border walls, anything. Listen, time has gone by so fast, but let me go over to the board because I wanted to show you a couple of quick things. It's October 3rd. The September job reports have come out. Now, I don't know how closely you follow these things. Job report. Boy, does this have good news. Do you know now that we have gotten back more than half of the jobs that were lost because of the medical emergency that imposed itself on our economy with this COVID-19. It wasn't an economic problem, it was a medical problem. And because of that, to protect people, imagine the man under whose leadership the strongest economy we've ever had grew to that point, strongest economy in our history and in the world, how hard it must have been for him to say, now we have to shut it down. We have to shut it down. Because he cares about the health of the American people. He took decisive action. He closed off the travel from China while Joe Biden was sitting back and saying, oh, that's xenophobic and hysterical. And now Biden has the audacity, and his supporters, the audacity to blame President Trump for the people that died from COVID. Are you crazy? As if the president issued an executive order. We must have 200,000 people die from this disease. Send out the injections and give them the virus. If he had done that, the criticism of him right now would be no different and no less. People are talking as if this man ordered the death of everyone that died from COVID. This is absolutely mind-boggling, absurd. But the point I'm making here is, because of the medical emergency, we lost a lot of people. A lot of people lost their jobs. Now we have more than half of them have come back. And in September, the report that just came out shows 661,000 jobs added. And what that means is that in the last, 4 or 5 months here now, we have had some 11.4 million jobs restored. 11.4 million. And people are sitting around complaining about the president. I would like any one of you who are complaining about the president to be in, I'd like to see what would happen if you were in this position. Just give us your wisdom, please. Give us your wisdom about how you would make this happen. You know what another little statistic is that comes out of this? The unemployment rate. Before I give you the number, well, let me give you the number. 7.9% now. Now, the interesting thing about this number is it is lower than all the experts predicted we would be at by this point in time. Lower. We have, for example, I have a few experts here that spoke up, as this is their job to speak up and to make these predictions, okay? One of which, pretty prestigious entity, the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO. You know where they predicted we would be right now at unemployment rate? 16%. 16! And we're less than half of that. In fact, they predicted where we would be at the end of not this year, but next year. They predicted a higher number than this. So we're lower right now in unemployment under the leadership of President Trump. Pay attention, those of you that aren't so enthusiastic about him, which, by the way, I don't even know why you're spending the time watching. These are for MAGA people. We're talking to MAGA people now. And we're taking this information and they're going to disseminate it and get him 4 more years. Folks, if you're decided you're already going to vote for Biden, please give me one reason why people should vote for Biden that does not mention the word Trump. Could you go back to the drawing board, scratch your head a little bit, maybe say a little prayer if you believe in God, but of course this nation isn't under God anymore according to the Democrats, but go and scratch your heads a little bit and come up, get out a nice pad of paper, that fresh white clean paper, a pen. You can write down some ideas. I want you to come up with one, because I've never heard one. Honest to God, I have never heard one. One single reason why you would ever vote for Joe Biden that does not mention the word Trump. Because all you folks do is complain, sometimes with hateful lies, I mean, people can have complaints. I mean, this is one of the greatest things about America is that, we can complain about our government leaders without being afraid of being arrested 10 minutes later by somebody coming to the door that's trying to shut down free speech. No, we believe in free speech. So criticize all you want. All I'm saying is give me one reason to vote for this guy, Biden, that doesn't turn into a criticism of Trump. You people don't have one. You don't have a reason. But let me go back to this. So the Congressional Budget Office said that at the end of 2021, the unemployment would be higher than it actually is now. And you know who made similar predictions? J.P. Morgan. And, Goldman Sachs. They also had a higher number. They said by the end of next year, we would be higher than this. And also the Federal Reserve. So, the president is doing just an amazing economic job, and this is something that we have to point to people to the facts. The statistics, the facts, the accomplishments. As I've always said, and let me write it right here on the board, because this has to be one of our rallying cries going forward over these next 30 days. Brothers and sisters, this election has got to be about policies. Let me change color here, and not personalities. Do you choose your auto mechanic based on his personality? Do you decide who's going to fix your car based on how many times he's been married? Do you choose your auto mechanic based on something he said 20 years ago with his friends? You didn't even care about that. I don't even choose my doctor based on those things. I don't care how many times he's been married, and I don't ask him. I don't judge his spiritual life. I judge whether or not he knows how to do the surgery that I might need him to do, him or her. How do you choose your doctor? How do you choose your lawyer? How do you choose your auto mechanic? How do you choose your real estate agent? How do you choose the grocery store that you're going to shop in? Don't you make these decisions based on whether the people who are telling you that they can do a job for you are qualified to do that job? Or do you ask them about, ask them how many times they've been married? I'm not going to use that auto mechanic because I heard him say a curse word. Listen, if I have to get somewhere and my car broke down, you can say all the curse words you want. Just get my car working. If you come to me as a pastor, I'll advise you not to, it's better if you don't curse. But when I come to you because my car is broken, I want one thing and one thing only. I want you to fix my car. We're electing a president, friends. We got to talk about policies. Oh, I don't like that thing I heard that he said 20 years ago. Well, what about what his judges are going to say 20 years from now? The judges he appointed, 230 of them and counting, and we're about to get a third one on the Supreme Court. And guess what? Democrats aren't going to be able to stop it. They're going to be issuing decisions that our great-grandchildren are going to be reading about 40 years from now. That's what we got to be looking at. Policies. And what kind of judges are they going to be? Judges that impose upon our judicial system and right into our decisions sexual immorality like is embraced by Planned Parenthood that they want to fund and support and defend. Or maybe something that has to do with the Judeo-Christian values on which this country and its laws and its courts are built. Policies, not personalities. Accomplishments is what we've got to be talking about as we make our decisions in this election. Accomplishments, not accusations. Brothers and sisters, that's the way to do it. You want to look at the accomplishments? Once again, promiseskept.com. Take a look at that website. In fact, here's my challenge to you. 2 things. Number 1, read the whole website. It's not impossible to get through it all. Read the whole website, promiseskept.com. And secondly, the next time you talk to anybody who's not sure, because friends, this is what we need to do in these days. Every day. Every day. Now, put aside as much as you can put aside between now and November 3rd. Let it start up again on November 4th. Put aside whatever you can put aside. Obviously, we all have commitments that can't wait, but the most time that you can give to this election, give to this election. Reach out to other voters, educate them, pass along the kind of facts that we're giving you. But here's what I want to recommend. After you read the entire website, promiseskept.com, you'll be very encouraged, very enlightened. Here's what I want you to do. You ask everyone in your circle of influence who's still not sure that they should vote for President Trump, still not sure that right before their very eyes is the greatest president we've ever had, just ask them a simple question. Would they take a moment and read that website themselves? Even just part of it. Just, have you ever taken a moment to look at what this administration has actually accomplished? This is so simple. You don't have to be an expert in these issues. You don't have to know the statistics. You don't have to. All you have to know is this: promiseskept.com. Go there, take a look, and challenge. See, the thing is, challenge them to take a look, and say, okay, when you go there and you see what's been done, and it's all documented, just ask yourself, do I like this or not? Is this the way I want the country to go or not? Again, we're focusing on policies, not personalities. We're focusing on accomplishments, not accusations. The side that's making the most accusations, the side that has the most lies, the side that has the most hatred, that's the losing side. That's not the side you want to be on. You want to find a great leader? He also is going to be focused on accomplishments and policies. That's how we build a great America. That's how we keep a great America. So, friends, as we conclude, let me invite you again to share this video. Thank you for joining us each night. We come into you each night at 9 o'clock. And of course, for those that join us for Mass, we'll be with you at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And our book study, by the way, we didn't talk about the next book tonight. I want to do that during the week because we're going to be able to have the author with us. So we're talking about Austin Ruse. He had agreed to come on, but then we had another event come up that we had to cover for you. So I'm going to arrange a night with Austin, and so it's nice to have the author of the book that we're discussing be with us to explain it and give his insights about it. So look forward to that. It's The Catholic Case for Trump by Austin Ruse. And then after that, we're going to discuss Charlie Kirk's book. You know Charlie Kirk of Turning Point USA. He wrote a book called The MAGA Doctrine. Remember I told you before, MAGA is not just a slogan, it's a doctrine. The MAGA Doctrine is a book by Charlie Kirk. You will really be well served to read that book sometime between now and the election. You'll know how to talk about why it is that keeping Donald Trump in the White House is the best thing for America, for our economy, for our safety, for our religious freedom, for the right to life, for all these things. That is the way to go. So thanks, friends, for being with us. May the Lord bless you now. May He answer all your prayers, give you His protection and love, protect your families, and make you strong defenders of life, of freedom, and of America. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father Frank Pavone here of Priests for Life. Talk to you soon.
Years ago, I got to know Father Frank on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. He had joined with a number of people with us. And I saw him as a very sincere, earnest young man. And I was delighted when he was my student in the seminary and he was ordained. And then I started to hear about his work with life. And I've been very pleased and amazed to stand on the side and see all that has been accomplished. There's no doubt in my mind this is a work of God, a work guided by the Holy Spirit. And now Priests for Life has a large organization, a number of people working here, quite a large number, and including a number of priests. And the priests throughout the country who have many responsibilities put among their interests and care Priests for Life. So I'm grateful, and I'm grateful to you for supporting this apostolate. In a way, you could say there is nothing more important than life. When there are dangerous situations, we call an ambulance. All the traffic stops. The ambulance comes to save a person's life, perhaps of a heart attack. Here we're talking about saving possibly millions of innocent unborn children. Isn't it terribly important? Isn't it of a great, great significance? And so I would encourage you, please, in your generosity, help Priests for Life. And I particularly appeal my fellow members of the clergy to support life and Priests for Life.
I think we have Richard Lee, we have Jim Garlow, and we have Father Frank Pavone. Someplace they were in the audience, so I appreciate you being